So you might be wondering how you too can sing high notes easily so that you can sing your favorite songs on repeat without experiencing any hoarseness or tension in your voice. Well, in this episode, I've got you covered with a simple way to sing those high notes so that you can experience vocal freedom in no time. So let's dive into it. My name is Maggie. I'm the founder of the Singing Insiders, in which I help passionate singers just like yourself become the best version of themselves through singing. And in these episodes, you're going to get insight, tips, tools, tricks, techniques all around singing to really up-level your singing skills. So let's dive into it and let's look at what a simple way can be to hit the high notes easily. Now, in order to truly get this, you need to understand some common mistakes that many beginner singers make. So what many beginner singers tend to do in order to sing those high notes is to actually push their voices the higher they go. And that tends to result in hoarseness and tension. So we don't want to do that. Many beginner singers, they also believe that their voice is their voice, and that's the way it is, and that you need to have some kind of natural talent in order to sing those high notes or extreme low notes. I know I was one of those. I could not reach the high notes freely, and I thought, well, it's just not for me. I'll just sing lower songs, and really, that's not the way to go. Now, also, many beginner singers, and that was me too, believe that it needs years of practice in order to truly master this. And today I'm going to give you one technique that can switch the whole thing in a matter of minutes. And we're going to apply that to a song. So I'll show you that. Another common mistake that many beginner singers make is that they tend to sing in just one register, either chest voice or head voice. Now we're going to be talking about registers today as well. So if this is unknown for you, hold tight, so we're gonna go through it. Now, if you notice that you might be doing these mistakes or thinking those beliefs about needing talent or needing years for this to really master this, it's actually a good thing, because now we have awareness about what's happening, right? And once you're aware that you might be making those mistakes, well, then you can do something about it. And that's where we get into the whole world of what I call the trained singer. And the trained singer, once you get into that world, they know that your voice is something that you can train. So a trained singer will actually train their voices to transition in between registers. So I told you, many beginner singers, they tend to stay in one register, while the trained singer, they're going to be actively switching between one and the other. And again, we're going to be talking about that. Now, the trained singer also knows that this doesn't have to take long. And I'm going to prove that to you later in this episode, because we're going to look at one technique that can help you make massive progress in your singing. So what is that one technique to sing high notes? Well, it's the technique called cry. Now, you might have heard of cry, maybe you haven't, and that's okay. We're going to talk about it today. But basically, using cry allows your voice to get into mixed voice. And we're going to be talking about mixed voice as well. Now, in order to really teach you how to apply this, we're going to be doing some singing so that you can feel the difference. Now, for today, I've chosen a song, One Moment in Time by Whitney Houston, our big diva. And I chose it on purpose because it has some higher notes in them. And so the first thing that we're going to do is just sing through the little piece of the song that I chose to work with so that you can sing along with me. Then we're going to apply the technique so that you can feel the difference and how that cry technique and activating your mixed voice can actually help you to sing those high notes really easily. So let's dive into it. All right, so a little piece of the song is actually the second half of the chorus, and this goes like that. Give me one moment in time when I'm racing with destiny. eternity. That's the little piece of the song that we're going to be working with. Now, if you don't know the song, then I encourage you to scroll back and rewind this episode for the last 30 seconds and listen to those few sentences so that you can sing along with me. Now, if you know the song, let's just sing it. So the idea here is that we're not working on technique yet. We're not judging our voices. We're just making sure that you know where the melody and where the rhythm goes and how the lyrics are pronounced and what pitches needs to be sung. So just sing along with me and let's just assess how our voice feel when we're singing that part of the song. Okay, let's do that together. Here we go. And give me one moment in time when I'm racing with destiny. That is the piece of the song that we're going to be working with. Now, you might have noticed that it might have been challenging for you, which is great. That means we can do something about it. Or maybe this was really easy for you, which is even better, because that means you're already at a level where high notes might not be such a difficulty for you. And let's enhance that. That's the next part. So let's look at this cry technique. Now, I can talk about hours and hours and hours about what cry actually is, what happens anatomically and stuff, but that is beyond the scope of this episode. So my intention, my aim is to give you the quickest way to apply the cry, to get you into mixed voice, to get you singing those high notes fast and easily. So crying is something that we all do, right? And cry technique is really the placement, the vocal placement that your body has when you're crying, literally. So this is something that everyone can already do. As babies, we have all cried for hours and hours on end without being hoarse. That's the cry technique in action. So what we need to do now is link that cry technique to our singing. And that's where, for many people, is the challenge. So can you pretend that you're crying for me and just do oh oh oh, kind of like a puppy that cries oh oh oh, yes, and make it very, very sad. Now can you talk with me as if you were crying? Oh, I'm so sad today. Obviously I'm exaggerating and I'm inviting you to do the same. Please exaggerate with me, because that's how you're going to feel the cry position and the cry technique. So let's be sad and let's talk in this cry position. Yes, can you feel that this is very different than when I'm talking normally? I hope you did that one with me, that I'm not the only one doing the crying here. So basically what we want to do, or what our aim is to put that cry placement into our singing. So let's try and do that together. And I invite you to really exaggerate it. Don't make it sound nice or pretty. That's something that we can do afterwards. For now, I want you to experiment with that cry placement and with that cry technique, okay? So really exaggerate the drama. Let's sing this with a lot of drama. Here we go. And give me one moment in time. Dramatic. When I'm racing with destiny. Keep the cry. Then in that one moment of time, I will feel eternity. Nice. Tell me, how How was that for you? Now, you might have noticed some things, right? This might have been a whole new way of singing for you, and that's totally fine. That's the aim, right? To discover new places in your voice. You might have had some difficulties, maybe not. Maybe it was easier for you, and that's okay. Now, one thing I invite you to do is to not judge the sound. Because yes, it might not be the dream sound that we're after just yet, and that's okay. That's the next step. Okay, so first we need to find the placement. First we need to understand how this cry technique is applied, and then we can go on to the next phase, which is all about how can I make it sound pretty and nice. Okay, so that's the next phase. Now, if this has been helpful for you so far, and you're totally on board with how this cry technique can be applied in your singing, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because there's more tips, techniques, and tools like this one coming up. Now, if you're with me with the cry, there's actually one more step that we need to go through, and this is the most important step. So let's continue. This one important step that I want to talk about is this idea or concept of mixed voice. Now, I'll tell you all about mixed voice later, but mixed voice really is the combination of two registers, your chest voice and your head voice. And so in this song, you might have noticed that by applying the cry, you naturally tend to switch from one register to another. For example, give me one moment in time. That's my chest voice. When I'm racing with destiny. Now I'm in head voice. And so by applying the cry in your chest and in your head, you're making it a natural transition between the two. And that really is the power of mixed voice. So we're going to be singing it one last time. This time, I invite you to, first of all, apply the cry. So we're still exaggerating, and then we can make it pretty later. And I'm inviting you to switch registers between your chest voice and your head voice. Now, where that switch is going to happen is really up to you, because every voice is different, every singer is different. So feel what aligns most with you. I tend to switch on the destiny, and then I stay in head voice on the then in that one moment of time. That's still head voice for me. I will feel, that's where I go back to chest voice. But it might be different for you. So feel what aligns with you and your voice. And a little hint, if you're feeling any hoarseness, tension, or that little scratchy itchiness in the throat, that means you're switching too late. So notice those signals for yourself and then adjust accordingly. Okay? So one last time, we're applying the cry and we are switching between registers so that we get into that mixed voice register. Here we go. Give me one moment in time. Make it very dramatic. When I'm racing with destiny. That deserves a virtual high five. Nice. Now tell me, how did this cry and mixed voice technique in turn helped you to sing those high notes? And again, it might not have been the sounds that you're after just yet, which is totally normal. This is phase one. Phase one is activating the vocal technique, activating the right register, and then we can move on to how can we make it sound pretty. Now, hopefully you can see now that it's a matter of using the right vocal techniques in order to experience that vocal freedom. And really, mixed voice is the most important one. The mixed voice is the only way to get there, to sing the high notes, sing the low notes, all the notes in between. And using cry can help you get into that mixed voice. Now, I promised that I would tell you all about mixed voice. Well, I have a separate episode explaining you how to use this mixed voice technique and how you can expand your range, what exercises you can do, and what you can do to train this registers so that you can experience that vocal freedom when singing. So my invitation to you would be to go and as the next episode, go to that episode. So I'm going to queue it up next here and I'll link it in the description down below. So go click that link and let's keep this conversation going all about mixed voice so that you can harness the power of mixed voice and then harness the power of cry to get into that mixed voice. Okay, so I'll see you in that next episode. I'm looking forward to continue the conversation there. And well, thank you so much for having been here. And I'll see you again very soon. Bye.